Tune in to Heel of the Ring podcast on the Sports JEDI Network channel. May the sports be with you. Because I am the hero the Sports JEDI deserves, but not the one it needs right now. Long live Lexus King. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Heel of the Ring podcast on the Sports JEDI Network channel. We got a week of wrestling, but first and foremost, let me say what is going on to my partner, Chris. What's up, Chris?
What is up? What is up? Yes, we got a week in wrestling. This week in wrestling was a little. It was good. It was good. Before the July yesterday, 4th of July weekend. It might have been hard for some people to keep up or be as interested in the wrestling this week. So not too much happened, but still a good week of wrestling. We have some other good things to talk about, and I'm excited to be here with you guys for another week. Let's go.
Yes, indeed. We got another week. And ladies and gentlemen, we have a major announcement that we're going to reveal in the show later on. Big announcement pertaining to Sports JEDI Network channel. And we are ready to share it with you. But first, we're going to give you a little bit of the week, and then we'll go right into the big breaking news for our channel. Yes, this is the fallout aftermath of Night of Champions in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Of course, a lot happened there on that Monday Night Raw. First and foremost, it started at 6:05 or 6 o'clock start. For us, it was great. We were done by almost 8:30. In bed a little early, got rested. And let's go. We had it. One of the big things coming out of that Monday Night Raw. We have a new tag team champions on Monday Night Raw, and they go by the name of Finn Balor and JD McDonough. The New Day fall, and to a surprise, because I didn't expect the title change, Chris.
Yeah, I didn't expect the title change either. I kind of thought the New Day were going to retain that and have them maybe do something else down the line. I don't think they were booked that great as tag team champions. We have the international feed, and they were most of the time doing promos on the international commercial breaks. I don't know. Now this means that Judgment Day is one of the top factions again. Now they all have gold. Including Raquel and now Roxanne, because she's kind of technically filling in for Liv at this point. I think it's cool. I think it's like, are we getting closer to the Finn and Dominic, whole breakup, whole thing that they've been teasing for a couple months? I think that's gonna, maybe pin a pause until maybe one of those people lose those belts. But I didn't expect it. It was all right. It was good. The only problem is, I say, it's a little feels like hot potato on the Monday Night Raw side. I know Smackdown has a little bit more of a variety of tag teams. Monday Night Raw really just feels like it's hot potato between these two tag teams and the War Raiders, and really they're not really doing much right now the last couple of weeks. So I'm just curious to see who's going to be next to step up to that tag team division. Unless they go New Day again, that's again hot potato.
It could be a hot potato situation there. But here's one thing I want to take a positive out of this whole entire tag team division, or at least that match between the Judgment Day members and the New Day. The New Day achieved what they wanted. And the reason why I say why they lost the tag team titles, let me elaborate on that one. When the Pittsburgh crowd was so behind the Judgment Day, Finn and JD McDonough, it told me that the New Day did their job as ultra heel, where I don't know, because of the lack of title defense, Chris, or not seen on television, or get them off them because they're not interesting anymore, or they're not getting. I don't know if that was the reason why they got the babyface run for Judgment Day, but if that's the case, New Day still generated that heat where you wanted them as a heel in professional wrestling. Your psychology is to be disliked so much that they want that go away type of nuclear heat, or go away heat that the New Day grab in that title defense and that title loss. I think if you want to look at that, the New Day generated it. So I had to have a question: was it the New Day generating it because of the Big E story, or was it the lack of storyline inconsistency or lack of creative with the New Day on television, or was it a little bit of both, Chris, in your opinion?
It could be a little bit of both. I think it could also be that people just like the Judgment Day at this point. I mean, they're still one of the top factions. Dominic's still really, really over. I know a lot of the females like him. A lot of the females like Finn as well. it is a little bit of, it could be a little bit of both. Maybe it's one of those things, take the titles off New Day, like you said, because their title reign isn't that great. Lack of storyline, like Heather in the chat says. But I think it's just the people like the Judgment Day. And maybe they want something new, even though it's not really new. But JD's back. He came back from injury. People are coming behind him. So I think it's a little bit of a bias thing. But it also, for me personally, it is a little bit of the lack of stories from the New Day. Because like I said, they're going in, doing these segments in the commercial breaks during the international feed where only they could see it. And we can see it because we have the international feed. So they're not doing much. And again, I think the lack of tag teams in the division hurts as well, because they really don't have anyone to feud with, and then the one person they feud with, they lose. So I think it's a little bit of those things that may be why people want the New Day to drop their tag team titles.
Well, we'll see now. When it comes to the New Day, where they'll go. I know they've been interjecting a third member. I don't know, an honorary New Day member in Grayson Waller. I don't know if that's going to get any traction, any legs. The breakup of Waller and Austin Theory. That's kind of stagnant.
That's going to happen.
But it's like stagnant. Like, would you do it already? Like, rip the Band-Aid.
Yeah, you took the words out of my mouth. I feel like if they were going to do it, they should have done it already. Because even when they have their like PC run, even then, that's like when you first like Austin Theory, and then we're like, okay, guys, they're in the PC. Like, no, people act even on live shows, main event shows, the show that goes on before Raw. People want Austin Theory as a babyface. And I think a lot of people see the potential in Austin Theory because, at least how I feel, I think ever since Triple H has taken over, he doesn't want to do anything with Austin Theory. WrestleMania. You guys are gonna say WrestleMania 39 beat John Cena. Yeah, I wonder whose last WrestleMania that was, booking wise. So
you're talking about me, pal.
Talking about Vince, brother. So I mean, Vince made him look like a star. He made him carry. He had a lot of momentum going on with Vince, whether you liked him or not, because he was showcased a lot. And out of nowhere, he slowly kind of fades away, and then he gets paired up with Waller. Look, I think both of them are better off on their own.
Vince had a
Waller
lot of plans for him, brother.
Vince didn't have any more plans for him, brother. And I don't think Grayson Waller works well alongside anybody. And I don't think he works well alongside anybody, especially if you want to do both heels. I mean, it was a good concept, especially because you needed more tag teams. But it's like you need more of those mid-carders, quote unquote. You don't really have them, especially on the Smackdown side where they're playing hot potato between the Bloodline and the United States title and LA Knight. Now he's getting moved up to Raw in the main event scene. Who do you have now to fill in that spot? Put in Austin Theory or Grayson Waller.
We'll see. I've said this time and time again. Grayson Waller's very underrated on the microphone. He doesn't get the
underrated on the microphone.
Proper respect that he deserves. I think when they put Austin Theory alongside Grayson Waller as a tag team, it was the mouthpiece to kind of help on Austin Theory to break out of his shell. Where either he captures on the rebuttals, the heel side of talking like Grayson Waller is. Grayson Waller is one of the most top baby heels that could just zing and on a promo microphone scale. And I wish WWE would give him more time on TV, where this guy roasts people without no scripts, no rehearsals. And maybe that's what it is. The machine doesn't want a Grayson Waller who could get over on his own to get over with his own natural ability. If it's not forced by the machine, I don't know. I hope that's not the case, because you're wasting Grayson Waller's potential and talent as a major heel. Even in the upper mid card, you say he's not no main eventer. Well, that's your opinion. My opinion is he's a guy who could generate heat with his words, and that's what it is about wrestling, brother. Telling a story and getting people to want to hate that baby face, hate the heel and love the baby face. And Grayson Waller to generate that. Hopefully, they give him some more opportunities and more time, just like a Karrion Kross in his side as well. There's a lot of talented wrestlers in WWE where they're taking a little step back, where they're not utilizing correctly, where we know there's a potential and there is a lot of talent there, and is being logjam with the top guys over and over and over, copy, repeat, rinse and repeat. I don't need 20 minutes of a yeet going down the ring. Make it to 12. Cut it. I'm not saying we don't need it, period. cut it down a little bit. Give that extra few seconds, few minutes to others. So forth and so forth. Everyone says Rhea Ripley gets forced down our throat. Scale it back a little bit then. Give an opportunity for a Waller. Give an opportunity for there's everything in life and in professional wrestling. It seems like you need a little balance. Maybe we as wrestling critics or watchers, maybe we they need WWE maybe need some balance. I don't know if it's always going to please everybody, but it kind of looks like they're having that issue when it comes to Monday Night Raw. Let's take on one of the top things of Monday Night Raw. Dominic Mysterio continues to prolong the match with AJ Styles with this doctor's note. Something's up there. They want to wait. They're waiting. Here's what it is. They're waiting for Atlanta, where AJ Styles will be taking on Dominic Mysterio. I believe that's going to happen at Saturday night's main event, if I'm not mistaken. Setting that up, Georgia boy. Speaking of the Georgia boy, we all know Goldberg is taking on Gunther in Georgia, Saturday night's main event. We all have our thoughts about that. Our eyebrow raising, whatever. That's going to happen no matter what, folks. That's something there. I want to see what else we could talk Monday Night Raw because we.
I just don't know why he's not on the show. Leading up to this, this was only a 3-week build. You're telling me? I hope he shows up this Monday. At least.
Who are you referencing on that, Chris?
Goldberg.
Okay, I had a brain fumble.
Right? No, you're good. You're good because like I said, I'm one of those people that I don't care. Like I'm not on an outrage. I don't mind it. I don't mind the concept of Goldberg. If we can't get Brock versus Goldberg or Brock versus Gunther, excuse me, I would take Goldberg versus Gunther if you want like a nostalgia match. Somebody with that style to go against Gunther. You can give me a little bit better. Even hell, at least John Cena and that, like them and whoever he's feuding, they're on TV weeks and 2 weeks before their match. Where's Goldberg? Where's Goldberg? We see him once come out and say at Saturday night's main event, "You're mine." We don't hear anything from else. I just want him to show up Monday. If he doesn't show up Monday, I completely understand why if people don't give a shit about this match. Because there's no build.
Let me rebuttal that with Goldberg not showing up. I think WWE is trying to protect him from the live crowd from booing him completely out of the building.
That could be a reason.
I think if he shows up any other city other than Atlanta, unless if it's the first, like a city that they haven't been to in a while, then you're like, ooh, Goldberg. They get excited. The pop is there. When he came out in Milwaukee, if I'm not mistaken, that's when he came out because you haven't seen him. Like, oh wow, we didn't have that in our bingo card. Bill Goldberg showing up. When you hear it, when you hear the music, it still captivates you. That entrance. That's why I'm big on music. And this is a little bit going a little bit off topic, a little bit though, but bear with me. I'll get us back on the road. That's why I'm big on wrestlers getting their introduction music to be so iconic and so well. They got to get rid of Def Rebel. I know I said I was going off the road, but those introductions on the new wrestlers now in 2025, they suck because they're all generic. It all sounds like it's all this. I'm taking it all. It sounds like Solo Sikoa's song over and over and over remix. It does. And then Selena sounds like 1, 2, 3, 4 Smackdown intro. They all sound the same. They all mishmash. You don't know who the hell's coming out as wrestlers. But when you hear that Goldberg's introduction, you stop. Like, oh shit, that's Goldberg. Or when you hear it, the glass shattered in Stone Cold Steve Austin, you're like, oh, the business is about to pick up. When you hear Can You Smell? Or even, when you hear the heartbeat of wrestling has more than one royal family, you stop in your tracks. But all these other generic crap that they have, that's why it's important. They need to really rectify the music in WWE going forward because you want those songs when you hear the first 3 chords, not just even Elijah with the 3 chords of the guitar. You know it's him. Yep. You stop. It's him. Yep. That's important. They need that. So let me get back to where we were talking about when it came to Goldberg. Maybe that's why they want to protect him from not getting booed, not getting totally hijacked. We're like, we don't want this, or the crowd hijacking. It doesn't look good in your international feed, or across the world because maybe around internationally they want to see Goldberg wrestle. And the United States might not. So I don't know what the temperature is there, if they're protecting him. He's going to get over in Atlanta. You wait for him there. Fine. We'll see. Monday Night Raw will be interesting to see if he brings him out, Chris. If they bring him out.
I hope so, man. At least they'll get some interest in this match because that's what's lacking the interest of people. I understand that. But again, you want to have another match, you got to show up, build it something. At least do a recorded vignette where you're not there or something. Not just rely on what happened between those two guys at Bad Blood, which was in 2024. We're almost that was almost a year ago. So let's pick it up a little bit.
Let's pick it up. And speaking about something that pick it up or something, it's Ludwig Kaiser now becoming stepping into the mask of El Grande, even grander Americano now. You know, we know Chad Gable's out, and you know, underneath that mask, you could tell that's Kaiser.
Americano.
Hey, you know what? At least he's got something to do. He's going to be on TV now. He gets some chances to get some matches, and you know, in the steps of a Grande Americano. I kind of like that. It was outside the box thinking, Chris. I'm going to be honest with you. I kind of like it. I know some people roll their eyes on that.
I don't mind it. I mean,
I like it.
I don't mind it. He could pull it off. And again, you don't. This is a way to you guys won't completely forget about Chad Gable while he's with his surgery and dealing with his injury.
Yes.
Now there's still something for him. There's something for him to come back to, and automatically start with. While I was gone, El Grande Americano, like so.
Yeah, but everyone says size doesn't matter, Heather. You know, in more ways than one. As long as he gets the job done, right? As for hello. I'll move on here. Nick and Adam Pearce talk about the landscape of the tag team. They laid it out where now Finn puts a great idea and has Roxanne Perez. You know, we saw that coming a mile away. Roxanne is going to be teaming up with Raquel. She had the last deciding vote. Even Dominic, I have to talk to, even say, yeah, but he said, I have to talk to Liv. We all knew that was happening. We know that was the part of the storyline. But at WWE Evolution, it's going to be a 8-woman tag match or four-way scramble. They're going to add NXT tag team. I don't know which ones because the NXT really doesn't have any real tag teams there. I wish they would have added a TNA tag team into that because you have a friend. You know, I'm going to say this a little bit outside, a little bit again off the road, but I'll get us back in. You have this partnership with the WWE and TNA. When are we going to see TNA wrestlers besides Joe Henry work with the main roster wrestlers? And again, I'm not complaining about the NXT wrestlers because they need the reps and the bumps. But I kind of want to see some of the TNA talent with WWE main roster talent interjecting some matches. I kind of want to see, you know, maybe the Iconics, maybe Asha and Heather by Elegance, you know, make a, you know, so what? She worked there before. So who hasn't? Come on. Let's start working, not just NXT. Let's go at WWE. Start working. Be nice with the TNA talent. Let's go. Let's start working together. I want to see that. You know, TNA. TNA is on the verge of becoming the second top company in the United States. So let's go. Let's get the ball rolling. Let's go rolling. Let's get some hard hitting action or total nonstop action along with the main roster. Speaking of total nonstop action. The match between Rusev and Sheamus, it was a bad back and forth, hard hitting. Although, on the spot watching it along, I would like wrap it up it was just the joke with Nate Dogg and all that stuff. But then I watched the match again. These guys gave us a hard hitting banger of a match for about 15 minutes, Chris.
Yes. Yeah. I know a lot of people aren't interested in Rusev or anything like that, but you know, you're gonna get a good match between those two. They're good friends outside of this business. They know how to work. It's nothing more than a really, really good hard hitting match. Doesn't mean anything going forward. Didn't mean anything before. Just a good wrestling match on Monday Night Raw.
Would you like to see it run back with a different stipulation, or I kind of wouldn't mind it. Not on Raw though.
I wouldn't mind it, but it's what's the outcome? Who benefits from winning this match? It would be because they're both kind of, I don't want to say not doing much, but Sheamus hasn't been around a title in forever. Rusev just got there. People really don't care about him coming back. I mean, if you could build up a long storyline between these two to get people feeling their character, especially Rusev, where he's still, because Sheamus has his banger. He has that to get him over. Rusev still, I'm not green because he's been to the WWE before, obviously, and had a good first run. But a lot of these people might know him as Miro, or might not remember a lot of his first run, you know, with Lana and the Bulgarian thing. So you got to reintroduce us to him, and they have not done a good job of doing that. So if they could have a storyline with Sheamus, something in the mid card to get the talent, main event talent, ready for whatever, or stuff in between the shows to get ready for your other segments, you could benefit from that. Why not? It was again good hard hitting match, but you got to get something for it to mean something and get invested into Rusev again with him coming back. Because again, Sheamus is a fan favorite. He's fine. He's over. He's doing Pat McAfee. He's doing football. Soccer we call it in America. So he has good stuff going, and he's busy. Everyone knows Sheamus. He's a veteran. He's been in WWE since 2009. So
what if they're hard hitting, they go into a respect type of angle, we all know they're friends, they're neighbors and all that good stuff, and they decide they want to team up. Like, I respect, because
I don't mind that. Again, that's another tag team for the Raw division, like how I stressed about earlier when we talked about the Judgment Day and New Day. And again, if the rumors are true, with some of the War Raiders, I think it was Ivar who might want to take a step back, maybe do a producer role for NXT or something, or I know Eric just had a kid, Valhalla, so maybe he wants to be a dad, stay at home in the Viking village or whatever. So I mean, you need another big boy powerhouse tag team, and that's why not those two from the old League of Legends throwback.
Here's if they do that, if they go that route, one of the first tag teams, and I hate to say it because I am a big fan. I have their merch and stuff. You telling me American Made versus Sheamus and Rusev to start off their first feud as a tag team would be a hell of a joke. Will be a hell of a great kickoff. We'll love to see that. Let's get that going. And also, we'd like to see the New Clutch Republic get back in the mix in the fold. I don't know what happened to them with Tyler Bates and Pete Dunne. I don't know what happened to their stall. I don't see any injuries there. I don't know, if they took some time off because they have nothing creative for them. But don't forget about them as we wrap up Monday Night Raw a little bit there. Here's one other one. Pierce and Aldis had a big announcement at Evolution. There going to be a women's battle royal. They're going to have maybe some returning legends. Hopefully we get some TNA talent, knockout talents in there, NXT talent. It's going to be a smorgasbord of the top women. Winner takes an opportunity, gets a number one contendership match at Clash of the Castle in Paris. So there's some good stipulation on winning that battle royal for the ladies. Makes you want to watch who could it be, who could your favorite. And I like they announced that, so it could be something in the international for Stephanie Becker, who's supposed to be odds-on favorite to win that battle royal, or others. We will see. I love to see that. I love to see what's going to happen going forward. We had a Karrion Kross. He was on television attacking Sami Zayn in the back. Sami Zayn putting that story with some pain going forward. That rivalry obviously continues to grow. Karrion Kross wants to grow and make Sami Zayn go to another level that he hasn't been to. So Karrion Kross is acting as a catalyst to Sami Zayn, the same way Sami Zayn when needed help to beat Gunther for the Intercontinental title. Kind of reversal in a different way. They're borrowing a little bit of the story there. If you look at that, if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. To each his own on the way watching Monday Night Raw on that aspect. And let me get my final stuff there. Oh, Rollins. I love this part. This is one of the part that I really enjoyed about Monday Night Raw, real quick. And then we got to go to NXT and so forth, and a major announcement after that.
Yeah, I want to talk about this, what you got to do, and I'll be right back. Go ahead.
Gunther comes out, cuts a promo about Goldberg. Out comes Rollins. Rollins kind of keep that in the mindset that he's still around. I love Punk comes out, scares away Rollins. Rollins goes up the ramp where LA Knight comes out of nowhere, and they have that brawl in the concession stands. They killed a lot of birds with one stone because even Punk was so irate and pushes Gunther to the ground, planting a seed for Gunther and Punk later down in either for the shows in Europe. Because remember, Gunther and Punk had some great matches when they did the European tour on the road to WrestleMania. Just remember that. And according to we didn't see it here. Those are the one of the few house shows that WWE did this year. According to a lot of reports, the chemistry and the in-ring between Punk and Gunther were phenomenal. I mean, who doesn't look good with Gunther in the ring? That's why this Goldberg and Gunther match is going to be so iconic or big for me, because this is going to test Gunther really is a ring general with a loose cannon or a goofball like Goldberg, because he's only a 3 minute man, and he has to really have a whole work on it. And you're going to see Gunther's in-ring general with calling a match, guiding, bringing home Goldberg, and so forth. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes, Chris. They tied everything in with a little bit of everybody in this, and it got everybody invested with storylines, had tentacles and multiverse of where they could go with. I like that, Chris.
Yes, I do like that as well. It doesn't confuse anybody, confuse any fans, because they all tie into some part. And I think it's important for Seth Rollins to keep making his presence known. It's important for him to keep making his presence known, not only for himself, for the fans, so the fans don't forget about him having the Money in the Bank, which obviously we're not. But in case. And I like it here because again, they're gonna keep. I'm gonna keep saying it. They're gonna keep dragging Seth and Punk, rightfully so. It still ties in there. Gunther's the world champion, so he, that automatically makes sense why he's there. It's good stuff overall. That's how you end the show, with your big talent, your main event guys on the card, on the show. I'm excited to see what happens. I really think there could be a chance that Seth Rollins cashes in, but I think ultimately it gets stopped by Punk, maybe a returning Roman Reigns. There's so many things that could happen at this point. No disrespect, I'm not really counting Roman Reigns into anything. Not because he's him and Cody are about to go film a fucking movie that I cannot wait for, by the way, in the new Street Fighter. Which I might talk a little bit about that during Smackdown, because that kind of has some ties. But I'm not counting Roman out, though, anyway. But I'm not. So there's a lot of things that could happen with Seth going into Saturday night's main event, which is probably why they're putting a little more. If they're not going to put attention to Goldberg being there, at least they're doing that. So where it's okay, he could still cash in. 3-minute match, but he could still cash in, and then some shit happens. But I'll be back, chat, before we go review NXT.
Yeah, let me give my thought on this one. I like what Chris was saying when he says about that. I won't be surprised if, look, we all know it's a secret. No secret, it's in Atlanta. Pensacola, Atlanta is not far. I live in Florida. I live in Central Florida. I live in Orlando. I know the Pensacola, Atlanta area. It's about 4 hours drive, whatever. This guy has a private jet. My point is, I think we are going to see Roman Reigns a Saturday night's main event, because they wants to trump over all the talk, all the headlines of All Elite Wrestling's All In. One way of doing that, a returning Roman Reigns, as Saturday night's main event. He comes in, prevents the cash in on Seth Rollins on the Goldberg Gunther match, and boom. Now everyone's talking about the return of Roman Reigns and the way he came out. Holy shit, he surprised us, through the crowd, whatever the case is. Stop the cash in, and then we're leaving off the air on nationally broadcast television, NBC or Peacock, where Roman Reigns returns, and here's the last thing he's get his comeuppance all over Seth freaking Rollins. That's how, and then you're like, wow. Now no one's talking about what happened at early in the afternoon with either Great American Bash or All Elite Wrestling. So WWE wants to steal the headlines. They want us to take away the people talking about them. That's a way of doing it, a return of Roman Reigns. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see that. I won't be surprised if that happens. If I spoiled you and I didn't give you your moment, I apologize. But I got to be brutally honest with what I see. Watching this product for many years. So I'm definitely think that's something that's in the cards. With it. Everyone thinks it's going to be Punk, but you hit something right, Chris. It's going to be Roman Reigns stopping, and that's the last thing you're going to see leaving the air at 10 o'clock at night on NBC is Roman Reigns.
Again, I'm not counting that out. Again, especially if he is going away to go film the Street Fighter, let this be something before going in the SummerSlam. I wouldn't count it out.
Definitely something that we didn't count out is how thoroughly and how quick NXT Tuesday night was. It was a pretty fun show. We saw Joe Henry taking on Wesley. Wesley, the former TNA talent, taking on Joe Henry. Joe Henry and Wesley had a back and forth, pretty good match there where Wesley gets defeated by Joe Henry. We got the shenanigans there, and Mike Santana appears for the save. So Mike Santana looks like they're leading up for a tag team match between, Joe Henry, Mike Santana versus Trick Williams and Wesley. Can they coexist? Can they get together? Can they, going, as they build for Slammiversary in UBS Arena? But your thoughts on seeing Santana back at the PC? That was cool, man. I should have went.
I didn't expect. Yeah, that's. Yeah, so who knows when he'll be back again?
When am I going to see this man?
So, well, I don't know about that one, but I like this Santana being at the Performance Center. Obviously, we need to see him involved in this. Now that the match is finally official, we got what we want. Santana's involved in the triple threat match at Slammiversary, and you need Santana. You can't just have Joe and Trick. I'm tired of that shit. I am tired of it. Santana needs the spotlight. It's going to be his day. And they did a good job here. The crowd really likes Santana as well. And he looks really great on WWE programming. I loved it.
He does look good on WWE programming and on TNA programming, man. And wherever we get to see a little Mike Santana representing us, it does. It looks good there. Another match that I want to talk about: Miles Bourne versus Lexis King. That was a pretty good match. Miles Bourne is trying to show himself that he's going to thrive away from the no quarter catch club. I wish it wasn't at the expense of my guy Lexis King, because I am a big Lexis King fan. I kind of want to hopefully, after this pay-per-view, Great American Bash, I hope they start putting, by the end of the 2025 to close out the year, I need the rocket ship on the back, strap on the back on Lexis King. This guy has heel potential. Let him go out there and let him be the damn loose cannon that he's supposed to be and was born to be. So please let Lexis King be that loose cannon, that mega heel, and let him cook, because all the elite wrestlers, castaways or WWE sign up pickups have gone gold. And Lexis King, yes, he's let me take that back, because he is the Heritage Cup champion. But we want him now to get another level. I think he has that next level. Him, please bring it out of him. Or Lexis, we know you got it there. Let's go.
I'm gonna straight up say I don't like it. I don't like the way they're doing Lexis King here. I know they gave him the Heritage Cup title. How many times did we really see him showcase that damn title? How come is it we get Ricky Saints, Sean Spears, Ethan Page? They get a whole month when they first come in. Now they're on top of the card, and they're on pay-per-views, and they're on posters, and they're on TV every fucking week. But Lexis King's the first one to do all of that. And it feels like it feels like a treat when we get to see the guy. It feels like, oh my God, he's finally here, when he should be there every fucking week. I don't like the way they're doing Lexis King. I don't. They still haven't given him a North American title run, and let him be in a meaningful story like they have with Ricky Saints, Ethan Page. Hell, they have those two working together in a meaningful story. And you're telling me you couldn't give Sean Spears and Lexis King a month?
You know what? You preach. And again, we are a little biased when it comes to at least I am a little biased for Lexis King, because you see him on my introduction. Tune into he graciously gave us that introduction, shouting out the team.
But he's a good wrestler, dude.
But he is good wrestler indeed. My love for Lexis King goes back even to his father. I was a huge Brian Pillman fan. In his WCW days as Brian Pillman, and now seeing his son wrestle, that's why I gravitate to Lexis King, aka Brian Pillman Jr. I'm a big fan of him. I believe in Lexis King Jr. I'm a big, right now I've got, if you look at my Mount Rushmore of wrestlers that are now currently young, that are, that I'm running, cheering, or like you say, marking out for, there's going to be Mike Santana, of course, followed by, Lexis King, Braun Breaker. I mean, I'm not going to, and then my fourth one, Carmelo Hayes. Carmelo Hayes, Strickland go back and forth, but those are my four young talent that, Grayson Waller's another one. I can't only fit four in the Mount Rushmore, but though, but for my point is those four, me personally, are the ones that I kind of want to see get over in the wrestling business currently. But again, Lexis King has a good part for me. I really like Lexis King. I hope that Shawn Michaels utilize him as the heel that he is, his writers, his coaches, and go forward. Because let's face it, I'm going to say this here. I didn't like the fact that you made him drop the Heritage Cup to Noam Dar when now he's injured again. Oh, Norm, you're injured again, my friend. And then the cup was vacated between Tony and Stacks. Why? Why didn't he go back to the former champion, or had him at least had an opportunity to try to win his Heritage Cup championship back with the former champion? He should have been a number one contender. If you want to talk about some little realism when it comes to wrestling, they should have been there. But that's another question, another day. Sorry, but it's nepotism, sort of. Ricky and Ethan are tight with Cody. So who else is there fast tracking like that? I'm fans of both, so I don't know. Maybe he's in the WWE because of nepotism for Lexus King, but the guy could work in the ring, dude. The guy could work in the ring, and he's a heel. When he talks on the microphone, when he went that babyface route, I'm waiting. All right, when is the knife coming? When is the knife coming? When is the gotcha moment? And they just didn't pay it off. They kept them there as that. I'm like, come on, pull the trigger when it comes to Lexus King. Let's move on here, because of course we had Yoshi Imamura defeating Jasper Troy, where at first I was like, why Jasper Troy? You made all this hoopla of LFG. You made him into this monster. You fought Obafemi immediately, and now he has 2 consecutive losses on the main roster. How are you supposed to feel that he's a big monster or someone that you don't want to mess with when he lost? And then Yoshi Imamura, I understand Yoshi's been wrestling longer and he has that experience over Jasper Troy, but I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how I feel, because now Imamura will go against Obafemi for the number one contendership, where they should have done it opposite. Why did they rush Jasper Troy and Obafemi on that random Tuesday, where they should have done Imamura, and then they would have had this number one contenders match going into Great American Bash? It should have been Jasper Troy taking on Obafemi on the Great American Bash. You'd be like, oh, the LFG guy got a pay-per-view because he earned it as a number one contender. They did it backwards, and now I'm kind of like, why, Chris? I don't get it.
I totally agree. I don't know if that was a test for Jasper Troy to make him go out there on a random see how he gets over with the crowd in the Performance Center on live TV before they make him travel and send him out. I don't know. But I agree. I think Jasper Troy has a better look. I think he fits the in-ring style with Oba a little bit better. So I agree with everything you're saying, Kev. I think they did that a little bit in reverse.
And not only that, Chris, LFG is watched all over A&E, and people were watching according to A&E and according to the Nielsen metrics. People were into that whole LFG storyline, everything from LFG, because they ended up getting 6 seasons. They got, not only they get their first year, they got 5 seasons renewal. That means they had a lot of numbers. Yeah, they renewed it for 6 seasons. So they already renewed it. They got it. And so people know that people are watching this. People are tuning in, and they're invested in the Jasper Troy. That's why it kind of boggles my mind why they did it in reversal, because no disrespect for Yoshi Imamura. I think he's great. I like his look and all, but I think it should have been reversed at this moment, because I think people are in the United States are more, unless if they want to try to appease to the international market. Remember, WWE is a global reach. So maybe I'm talking myself off the ledge, or correcting myself as we speak, as I'm saying this. Maybe they want now the Yumamura for the global reach with the audience, all the market in Japan to watch NXT. Maybe that's their bigger picture, the reasoning behind it. Maybe I'm talking myself
they want
again.
to go. Well, they're trying to get something like NXT UK again, like NXT Europe or NXT overseas. So if we see more of the Noahs, the Japanese, the UK guys, that's probably why.
Yeah, you're probably correct.
And their NXT market and their fan base overseas, so when they do the NXT Europe or UK, it won't be a fail like it was before. Even though I thought some of the best matches,
I don't think it was a failure. I think it was the pandemic hurt them with the.
I agree, because I enjoyed it. Like I said, I enjoyed Walter, aka Gunther, Alba Fry, Pete Dunne. I enjoyed a lot of the things that they were doing in NXT UK. So I think they could keep doing some good things with that, with the Europe stuff. But this is probably a way to expand a little bit. And Japan's a hot market for wrestling. WWE really doesn't. They take it, but they do live shows. Like you don't really see them. So that's if they want to do it, even though they already have all the Japanese talent in the world.
Maybe that's what it is. They want to expand now their media market into Japan. You know, you have Julia, United States champion, Io Sky, your current and
you got
WWE
Asuka
Women's
just
champion.
the Queen of the Ring.
Yes, in the finals of the Queen of the Ring. Yes, you have so many up and coming, talent from the Far East. Maybe that's what they're doing now. They're trying to showcase. Maybe that's why it makes sense why Uemura is that number one contender for the premium live event. We'll see where that goes there. Main event, Izzy Dame, Tatum Paxley. They defeat Soruka and Zarya, but the thing is, actually, I'll leave the Laney Rain versus Thea Hale out. I don't know what's going on with Thea Hale. Let me get to that first. I'm sorry to jump over the place, fellas. People listen to us. Thea Hale has been a veteran for NXT. The girl could grab. She is an technical in-ring wrestler. Her gimmick a little over the top, a little bit with KSU, being enthusiastic, with her. But no way Laney Reed should be beating Thea Hale.
Well, the only thing I could say is they might see something in Laney Reed. They at the what's it called? At the live show they did in where is it at? The live show they did with Blake Monroe had her debut.
Oh yes, yeah, on the Performance Center, right?
Laney, they did that at the Performance Center.
Okay, no. You're talking about one of the house shows.
One of the house shows they did like last week.
Yes.
In Florida, you know
one of their circuits, one of the citrus circuits that did it.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, they had Mariah May had her in-ring debut against Laney Reed. So I wonder if they see something in her. Are they probably do something.
She's blonde.
Yeah.
Well, one thing I don't see in Laney Reed is that introduction music. Please change it. That shit sucks.
Oh, that stupid ass country rapper or whatever.
No, I'm sorry. I hate to say that. I'm gonna be totally blunt and honest. So
that shit sucks, bro.
So then let me finally get to the Izzy Dane and Tatum Paxley defeating Soruka and Zarya, where Izzy Dane is gracing herself to Tatum Paxley, where we saw Zarya speared Soruka by mistake. I've been calling for this months, Chris, and I'm tired of saying it. I don't know when the hell Zarya is going to turn on Soruka already. That's like prolonging that. It's like the Grayson Waller and Austin Theory, where Zarya turned her heel already because it's going to be a year in the Performance Center in WWE, which she signed. It's about 9 months now. Zarya, they have not done Zarya well. She came with this high pomp and circumstances from Australia. Like, this one, you think, Stephanie, Julian, no. This one that's coming up from Australia, she's a bad itch. And you got to see her. And our presentation look, oh, damn. When I first saw her and Jordan Grace looked eye to eye, face to face, I was like, yeah. Zarya screams total heel with the makeup, the look, the eyebrow. She shouldn't be there sharing ice creams, dipping dots, wiggling toes, piggybacking. She should be out there kicking ass and taking names.
Yep. And even with Solo Ruka winning the North American title right now, it feels like they're not doing much of there either. So I hope that the end game is to have a big feud with those two, because those two right now aren't doing shit, and they keep teasing the turn or what. Just like Kev said, if you're gonna do it. If not, give me something with Solo Ruka, because she does cool moves.
She's the speed champion currently. She's 2 titles.
Which they don't care to fucking mention.
It's supposed to be for internet only. That's what it is. You're supposed to only watch it on Twitter and on X. But
we're not dumb. I know the winners before the speed even gets aired. I'm the one that told you Solo Ruka won the speed title the week before it happened.
You did.
We get the results. Stop hiding that speed championship. I understand. I don't care. I'm not saying choke it. No, but if you want Solo Ruka to be something and but other than just another hot girl on NXT, mention that she's a 2 double champion or something, and then people might actually want to watch it, and your X numbers on WWE might go up because people watch your speed.
we will see how that goes. Personally, I personally, I'm going to say this: unless if they're going to progress that storyline, I think they're the ones that are going to represent NXT in that tag team gauntlet. I think it's going to be Sol Ruka and Zarya in that tag team gauntlet at Evolution. I wouldn't be surprised, Chris. They're
I
really
wouldn't be
only tag
surprised
teams
either.
there, unless if you're going to
I
go
agree.
with Fatal Influence
Nope,
in
I
there.
agree.
I could see that where maybe that's where the heel turn happens or whatever the case is. I don't know. We shall see. With no further ado, ladies and gentlemen, that are watching us, everyone here, we have a major announcement with the program. Big major announcement. Things are going to shake up a little bit,
They're doing that now.
and we're going to play a quick video so we go get some water, and then we'll react to the big announcement. Here we go. And 3, 2, 1. Ladies and gentlemen, yes, it is true. In the words of Kirk Angle, we are, yes, the Heel of the Ring podcast from the Sports Jedi Network channel will be attending. All of us at TNA Slammiversary. We are ready. We are locked and loaded. We are going to the UBS Arena. We will be covering, we will be breaking it down for our channel. We are excited to go to the UBS Arena, be part of that event. Not just fanboys. We're gonna go as covering the channel. I'll give you your thoughts, our unbiased thoughts. Although we know we want Mike Santana in that main event and win the world title, but we're gonna go cover it. We're excited. Me, Chris, Chef Dan. We're gonna be in attendance. So if you wanted to stop by to say hello, we're gonna be there a little early. We're gonna take some pictures. We have access, and we're able to be blessed with that opportunity. And then July 19th. We're going to be part of Respect from the Respect podcast in Bergen, New Jersey, the Mecca. We are going to watch Respect, where a lot of our friends from the independent scene that you see them interview here on our channel, we're going to be in attendance. We're going to check them out. We're going to say hello. We're going to meet them. That's his first. And by the way, the promoter will be joining us Wednesday. Mr. Sanchez, Ray Sanchez, will be joining us. Can't wait to talk to him about that and how this is his first ever independent promotion. He's going to put a card together, and we're going to be in attendance. So we're going to be there in his first. And me, Chris, Chef Dan, we're excited to continue not just being a content on YouTube, but we're now traveling. We're going to go now and be able to go and see the different places. Meet with all the different job, and then on Thursday. Now the time isn't really official. I'm waiting for the final word, but we are going to interview TNA president, TNA president, Mr. Carlos Silva, will be joining us on the Heel of the Ring, on the Sports Jedi Network, first and foremost. Sports Jedi Network on the podcast called Heel of the Ring. We cannot wait to have the president, and we're going to talk some Slammiversary because we want to hear, all about Slammiversary and his thoughts, and this is his first big event in the UBS Arena, and I'm excited to have that conversation with Mr. Silva. Chris, you're yours.
Yes. We are going to go to the UBS. That's a secret we've been holding in for a while now. I'm really excited. I will also be there as well. Yes, this Thursday. Again, it's not confirmed. We will more confirmation, more details later. we will be interviewing TNA president Mr. Carlos Silva. It's excited. I'm excited. It's truly crazy to see what's going on. But we got a crazy July. That's what we're doing. But yeah, I'm really excited to be in New York. Really excited to be at the UBS for Slammiversary, the Respect Card, in New Jersey that Saturday. Say hi to some of our friends. Yeah, if you're in New York, you see us, say what's up. Come say hi. We'll be there. We'll be there. We'll be at that card. We'll be at the UBS Arena. Um, and we're gonna be honored to speak with TNA President Mr. Carlos Silva. So it's an honor. Thank you TNA again for having us. We're really excited, really grateful, and I can't wait to meet a lot of people, a lot of people that I watch on TV. Mentors, heroes, all these great people that are doing work for TNA Wrestling. So I'm excited. I cannot wait for July 18th to the 21st.
It's a humbling experience. When we did this, when we started on this journey, um, never thought in my wildest dream, But yes, I've been in NXT. Yes, I've spoken to a lot of the NXT. It was part of, the premiere, the premiere show of Whoop That Trick. Actually from from Trick Williams, Trick and Ain't Easy. Excuse me, Trick and Ain't Easy. I was invited through a mutual friend. Got to meet Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes. Had that opportunity. It wasn't for the channel. It was personal. Get to meet them and have a nice. But then now this is as a content creator, a certified content creator, for with Camera Pro X. It was for the Sports Jedi Network channel was great. Got us in. We able to go there. We appreciate TNA for saying yes. Blindly just say yeah, come on. We would love to have you. Thank you TNA again, and we're excited. We're going. We're ready to go. We're ready to make a. Like you said, Sports Jedi Network's you're gonna feel the force. We're here. We're gonna feel the
New
force.
York City, we're coming.
Oh, we're coming. And by the way, thank you for all the independent wrestlers that have come on our show for the interviews. We're gonna continue interviewing your independent wrestlers because we want to hear your story. We want to hear each and every one of your folks' stories. The men and women across this nation, across this globe. If you do a collar, elbow, table, take bumps, and you have aspirations and you have dreams in this wrestling, in this hardcore professional wrestling, we want to have a conversation, want to interview, want to hear your story, want to amplify it on our channel and on our network. We had some great interviews this past week. I want to thank Angie Savage for coming on with us as well. La Bebecita Mala, as well as we had Lady Shadow from Puerto Rico. It was a majority Spanish interview, but she's going to be a superstar. She only it's not even a year in the business. She has 6 to 8 months, and she is tearing the Puerto Rican independent wrestling scene in a great capacity. Loved it. I'm excited, Chris. I'm ready to go, man.
I'm ready to go, man. I'm nervous. I'm ready. I'm excited. I haven't been to New York as an adult yet, so I'm really excited. No, I'm excited. We'll definitely make sure to see if we can sneak in a video in person for the first time for you guys. But other than that, I'm excited. It's gonna be a fun time, at the UBS Arena for TNA Wrestling, and then hopefully more good news comes out of that. So
yep, maybe some more great news out of that, and then some. Maybe that's not the first trip we're going to be in New York, so who knows? Who knows? We never know. You never know in this beautiful art that's called professional wrestling. What is given, not just a fan. I remember my grandfather back in '84 getting me into this and watching it as a fan, watching my sons watch this, following it, and now be able to go as a content creator. Awesome, and only them. I got to give the man upstairs. My God, opening doors. So I'm very excited. I'm very humbled and very honored for that opportunity. Let's talk about honored. When you are on the air and you're able to do 300 episodes on TBS, regardless of the fact if you dislike it or don't dislike the company, it's still a great honor, a great respect. Great respect for All Elite Wrestling for its 300 episode on Wednesday night, where it gave you a little bit of everything. Chris, this is your baby. I don't know if you got to watch. I did see some of it. Give me your thoughts.
I got to watch it on Thursday. I didn't think it was bad. I think every time Tony Khan has a spectacular whether it's, the AEW 100 or AEW celebrating being the longest reigning wrestling program on Warner Brothers. He always delivers. It's always a good show. I would say this show was okay. There's a little bit more that's happening, building up to All In. I said it. It was important that we needed to see Kenny Omega return, and he returned in the main event. But I'll give you a quick, brief rundown of, just 3 things that I liked about the show. Mina versus Mercedes for the TBS title. It was a great match. Obviously, we know Mercedes isn't going to lose, but it's a great match between these two. Great match to start the show. Get Mina, I know, a little more familiar, introduced with the All Elite Wrestling crowd, American television audience. That was a great match. We had Kevin Knight and Mike Bailey challenge the Hurt Syndicate to defend the AEW tag team match. Well, they came out, whatever. In response, the Hurt Syndicate simply just beat him up. They beat him up out there. MJF in a fatal 4-way match to become the number 2 entrant in the Casino Gauntlet Battle Royal. So it's a Battle Royal. That's what they did at All In last year. I remember it being a ladder match when it first came out, but that's okay. Battle Royal. MJF is the number 2 entrant, gets his win over Anthony Bowens, Brody King, and AR Fox, which, was a good match, but we know obviously that was MJF's to win. The Young Bucks and Takeshita take on Kyle O'Reilly, Roger Strong, and Bandito. It was okay. Don't really care much about it. And then this is the 2 I'll talk about. So Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland defeated Drastico and the Beast Mortos. The Beast Mortos is, again, co-main event and main eventing AEW ever since he's gotten some money. So
that's some big business there, pal.
He got some ever since he began some big business. So, but they lose to Swerve Strickland. Obviously, we know now it's going to be Will Ospreay and Swerve versus the Young Bucks, which is what we were knowing what's going to happen. Still curious to see how that's going to go. And then we got a main event match, which it was kind of disappointing to see Kota Ibushi lose, but he took on Takushina Okada. He gets the win. Kenny Omega comes out. Finally, we see Kenny Omega. Look, I'm not going to go through the whole show because, we have a lot to talk about. I know you guys are excited still for our announcement, but I didn't think it was a bad show. I did say before, Kenny Omega had to come back to make this show mean something, especially since they're giving so much praise, stress about him and Okada at All In. So that was good. Oh, one more thing. Hangman Adam Page has convinced Jon Moxley to make their match at All In a Texas Death. The last time these 2 guys had a Texas Death match at Revolution, holy shit. It was one of the most brutal, physical, not really brutal hitting matches because they used a lot of freaking weapons, but it was one of those things where it was like there was these college girls going at the bar and they were watching it and they had to leave because they were like disgusted. Like they couldn't, so that's how cool it was in the sense of that. So overall, they did a little bit more. They did more building up for the show to build up for All In. It wasn't just one of those extravaganzas, milestone shows to just book and overbook it and treat it like it's something completely separate. No, they did a little bit better of doing that, but they had some of their main things go on and help build up a little bit towards All In, like their main event, like MJF and like Hangman and Mox. So overall, decent, okay. This week I won't shit on AEW because it was actually okay. But I'm excited for All In.
All right. Here's one thing I want to take. That match you mentioned about, it's supposed to be Heroes versus Villain presented by Superman. I got the Superman shirt on because we saw SmackDown as well was sponsored by Superman. So they're putting a lot of emphasis in the Superman movie coming out.
Superman movie coming out for Max. Yep.
So it's going to be a good one. So that was sponsored match there.
That was the theme of the show tonight. Yes, you're right. I forgot to mention that.
It was Hero versus Villain. Kidushi Okada, Kota Ibushi match. Did it deliver like people thought it was?
It was okay. I really thought it was good. I thought it was good. I think Okada, Okada kind of looked a little bit like the old Okada.
That's what you want, a little bit, by the way.
And I know Ibushi, he's coming back. So he, you had to make him look good a little bit. But again, it makes sense for Okada to give the win. But overall, it was good. Ibushi hit this really nasty like super tiger bomb off the top rope. That was pretty good. So yeah, it was a good showing. Again, these two guys will bring the best out of each other. Same styles, a lot of history. So I thought that was a good main event. If Kenny Omega didn't come out at the end, I would just say this was a good main event match, but it was actually kind of decent overall with Omega coming out. I know a lot of people love those two together, and you need
Omega
to build up for this match. You can't just have Okada come out there again. Language barrier, there's not much. You're gonna have Don Callis mostly talking for him.
Okay.
So with Omega come out, you get him more invested in him and the whole match itself. And I didn't mind it. Again, I know a lot of people for some weird reason like to see these two boys together with Ibushi and Omega, the Golden Lovers. So.
Look, we were talking about earlier on Monday Night Raw, a couple about minutes ago about Monday Night Raw. You need Goldberg to come out for his match. You needed Kenny Omega to come out as well.
Exactly.
Because you needed that as well. So I appreciate that. I want to Texas Deathmatch rules. That means could we see the Ops come out?
You're gonna see the Ops. You're gonna see Darby Allin. You're gonna see. It's gonna be shenanigan after shenanigan after shenanigan.
So everyone is excited, right? I'm thinking the sickos are all excited. Am I correct?
I'm excited. Like I said, the last time these two guys had Texas Death together,
let me ask this question. So what's the difference with Monday Night with WrestleMania Night 2 main event where you're getting almost the same crappy shenanigans? Because I don't hear everybody shitting on everyone. No one's shitting on All In Texas about all the shenanigans that's going to happen and take place. But meanwhile, everybody's complaining about John Cena's matches. Where's the two-way street here? Is it because it has a WWE at the end of it? Is it WWE or because
I really enjoyed? If you're talking about Night of Champions, that was
about everything. John Cena
WrestleMania. I mean, with Travis Scott, I don't really think people want it, but I understand what you're saying because when Cena had his run out on Night of Champions, that was fucking great. Seth Rollins, you're having all your big stars out there in a no DQ. I don't mind that if it all makes sense at the end.
Exactly.
Like I don't mind. I know either company. I don't mind it. No, it's
gonna be. I hear the complaint.
It's gonna be cool.
Like just enjoy.
You're gonna see the Ops. But again, you're gonna see Darby Allin come out there.
Because
that's most likely gonna be
sense,
the
right?
event.
Yes, you're doing whatever it takes to get that damn title off of Moxley.
In kayfabe, quote unquote, Moxley is the reason why Darby's hasn't been on TV. We know he's climbing Mount Everest, but in kayfabe, Darby took him off TV. So it only makes sense that he comes back and helps Hangman. But I'm not gonna lie, and again a little bit of early All In predictions. There's something in me that feels like Hangman's gonna lose.
I do too,
because I still think the end game is Darby winning it over Moxley.
I'll tell you even this much. I go even further. Darby Allin's gonna join John Moxley and screw Hangman. You heard it from me.
That'd be a shot.
Everybody's like, "Oh my God, here's Darby Allin! Oh, he's gonna save the bullshit. He's gonna fucking turn the knife on Hangman Page." And you were like, "Oh,
that'd be something, brother. That'd be cool. I'm excited. Look, I know
And then he could say he climbed the mountain. He had clarity. What John Moxley told him. Remember, John Moxley tried to recruit Darby Allin.
Yep.
For the group.
Yep. No, I'm excited. Listen, I know. A lot of we can sit here and crap about their weekly shows, rightfully so, because they deserve it. But I think we can agree that their pay-per-views, even though they're long as hell, they're good. They're good. It's good wrestling. I think the cameras look good. I think it just looks like a wrestling show.
It's improving.
It's improving, yes. Like we watched a little bit together of the Revolution this year. Or not Revolution this year. What was it? The one that just had Double or Nothing. And it looked like a wrestling pay-per-view. So I think them in the stadium and All In America, I think it should look good. Hopefully. But I think the card and I think the matches should be all right. And I think we're in for some good moments. We're just gonna have to wait and see for all of the wrestling. But that was the AEW 300. And then next we've got the go home show before All In Texas.
I guess, yeah. That's why I think I know Heather says, "Wait, okay, if you were stretching, you're stretching a bit. They wanted Darby as champion for the last 6 months at least. Yes, but I think
Darby
that's
should
what
have
it
been
is.
champion a year
But
and a half, 2 years ago.
he had a plan of going to Mount Everest, and you can't convolute your storyline. So he's coming
Yep.
back, and I think he's coming back to join John Moxley. And I think the one who's going to take the title off of Moxley is going to be Will Hairspray in on the Forbidden Board, and that's where they're going with it. And then Moxley, and then Darby's going to win that title, but against Will Ospreay. That's in Seattle. That's book it. There you go. Book it. You're here from me. That's why I think that's coming there. Let me ask this other one, Chris. Indulge me on this when it comes to all the wrestling. Who is the baby face and who is the heel between Mercedes Moné and Timeless Tony Storm?
I would say Mercedes is the heel.
Okay.
I think a lot of people are tired of her having all these titles, Mercedes Hogan, all this stuff, politicking backstage. We're seeing it with the Beast Mortos being in the main event of all these fucking shows now. I think Mercedes is the heel. Just the way she talks on commentary, her bitchy attitude, and that's her character. Tony's so over with the crowd. The crowd enjoys her. She talks to the crowd and not about the crowd. So from what I'm seeing, from what I'm gathering, I think Mercedes is the heel and Tony's the
Okay.
heel.
No, because the reason why I was asking this, I would have loved Tony Storm to be the indulging heel here, because you could have made but they're not going to do it. It already happened. The match happened. Whatever the case, if I would have had the pencil, if I wasn't part of the creative, I would have had somewhere where Tony Storm is having that another dinner. By the way, I think she had lasagna. Like, didn't I say lasagna joking around? I think it was a lasagna she had there. Yeah, it was so funny because I actually were.
Yeah, because you said that backstage joking around.
Yeah, I was being
I remember
sarcastic,
that,
and
yeah.
what she was eating a freaking piece of lasagna earlier on there. So she had whatever she was eating. She never touched it, by the way. So whatever. Where you have Luther, you had Maria, you had Shakawa or whatever, where Mercedes would have tried to referee a distraction where Tony Storm might have been thinking she's choking, where Luther's putting a Heimlich maneuver, or the referee somehow, some way doesn't, knows how to do the Heimlich maneuver where Luther knows. There's someone knows the Heimlich. There's someone knows the Heimlich. Luther goes running around the other way, gets the title, would have hit Mercedes with the title, guy in the TBS title off her clean, because you would have been like, oh, Luther had to hit her with the title. Mina should have been the TBS champion, where Tony Storm faking that she's choking on a piece of meat or lasagna, whatever the hell she was eating, and the referee's doing the Heimlich where her back. I don't remember who the referee was. They're pulling the Heimlich with the back turn, and Luther hits Mercedes with the title. You would have been, and then you could have easily taken the title from Mercedes, and you would have not been in a logjam of shitstorm that they're creating right now with the women's division, and you would have done something alleviate from all the negative dissentation that AEW is taking with their women's division. But it is what it is. I thought about that, like, damn, why didn't they wanted Mercedes to lose, but you could have protected her still by just a title shot. Still, you borrow everything for the WWE, borrow the damn title shot to the head as part of the gimmick. But I digress, Chris. I think they missed an opportunity.
No,
on that.
Well said.
All right, let me give you a quick recap of nothing major, but LWO, Lince Dorado teamed up with Cruz del Toro, Raheem Wild. They beat the Vanity Project on Evolve. I just want to give the quick results on Evolve.
Oh, I was about to say, what are you talking about?
We'll go into TNA wrestling, because we want to give that our emphasis there. Timothy Thatcher caught a great motivation with Sean Legacy. He kept motivating him. Good to see Timothy Thatcher in Evolve. Also, the LWO. We had Kelly Armstrong signing her contract. She's going to take on Natalia. So Natalia doing great work. She's getting TV time in the ring in Reality of Wrestling and Evolve, putting back over and helping the talent of tomorrow. She's doing a phenomenal job with Natalia. Very underrated for her. I loved it for that. Great job there. Gentile versus Layla Diggs. That was a match there. And of course, you got a vignette from the adrenaline drip between Cappuccino Jones and Jack Cartwheel. For that's Evolved. Let's go into total nonstop action. Of course, we are trying to throw this out here. We are the unofficial TNA wrestling watch along and coverage podcasts. So let's go. Yes, we're gonna throw that out there, Chris. We're gonna work.
Damn right, we're throwing it
We're
out
talking
there.
into it. Let's go.
You'll
Let's
you'll
go.
see us
Let's
at
go.
New York now that the secret's out of the bag, and we're gonna be at the UBS. Oh yeah, oh yeah. Get ready. Just get ready.
You had a good match here. Nick Nemeth, who was replaced Trey Miguel out with an injury, was Zachary Wentz. Marlon Reed joining now the Rascals or coming out for watching Zachary Wentz back. Match was really good. Back and forth, back and forth. I love that match. Nick Nemeth always could tell you a good story in the ring.
Yep.
Good job there. Matt Cardona versus Eddie Edwards. We saw the Dark State come in and attack Matt Cardona. Again, you see the conflict between Myers, Eddie Edwards, Matt Cardona, that triangle there. They're bleeding in a little bit of realism, but Dark State makes his way to TNA. What's your thoughts?
Look, that's good for Dark State because I know we clown him and call him the Botchamania 4 Chef. You know, shout out to Chef for starting that. But they need something to really kind of take them, somebody for us to take him serious instead of just going out there in their dumb ski mask and doing essentially nothing. But I like them attacking. Maybe this gives them a way for Cardona, Myers, and there's like, you got to work together to get these guys out of here. Like, even though Cardona's unofficial TNA, but he's TNA, he's on the roster, so even officially. So maybe it's one of those things where we could see them kind of team up to get those guys out of, like, kind of like a NXT invasion. Get these guys. I wouldn't mind. I kind of like what they're going there, and I don't think it's gonna happen. I think the match card at Slammiversary is pretty much official at this point, unless they add in maybe 1 or 2 more matches. But maybe on the pre-show or something, a 6-man
That's
match.
you're probably correct with that one. Or because usually they don't fight eight. They don't do 8-man tags because
I still think they're gonna add on another stuff. Like, I still think they're gonna add something with like Macklin or something, or like a Sammy Callahan, or like an Eric Young. Like, they're gonna add something like that. For another card. I don't think the card's official yet.
Fully official? No, I don't think so either.
Fucking stacked.
The card is great. We're gonna talk about that right now.
Because we didn't mention something going back to NXT that I want to mention. How do we feel about Masha Slamovich facing the winner of JC Jane and Jordan Grace in a title versus title match? So you're telling me,
let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that, right? So if JC Jane loses this match to Jordan Grace, which I think's gonna happen, kind of makes me a little intrigued about Great American Bash, which I will have it on the side. But anyway, we could get a Masha and Jordan Grace on TNA soil again in a winner takes all. That would be pretty fucking cool. My thing is this, and I have to be fair, because I'm fair to every company that does this. I just hope with TNA not having a secondary women's singles title, that this doesn't kind of take let's say Masha wins and she's the now NXT and TNA title. I hope it's not one of those things where like we see a lot more of Masha in NXT than giving the knockouts chances because he's still gonna have Tessa Blanchard there, bro. Where are they doing that? I know we're getting her versus Indy, which is gonna be an amazing match, but when's she gonna win the title? So I mean, that's the only thing. But I love it. And I think TNA and WWE have such a good partnership and work relationship. I'm not scared. I think they could make this work. So that's kind of where I'm getting. I think they're gonna make it work, and I hope they do make it work with that. But nonetheless, it's a dope concept, and no matter who wins with JC Jane and Jordan, they're both gonna have a good match against Masha. Do you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yes, it makes sense. Can I throw in a wrench, a monkey wrench, a curveball, a swerve, or a bucket of cold water? And it's not gonna happen, guys. Just indulge me. This is not gonna happen, ladies and gentlemen, but just indulge me. Let's say JC Jane does lose to Jordan Grace. Jordan Grace is your NXT Women's Champion. She goes to Slammiversary. taking on title for title Marsha Slamovich. The match is about to end. Here is your winner, whoever is the undisputed or title for title both champion, and then you hear the Money in the Bank cash in. Is that legal to cash in her Money in the Bank for Naomi where she leaves? Is there a possibility that Naomi leaves the UBS arena with both TNA Knockouts champion and NXT Women's champion? Can I blow your mind on that?
She is a former TNA Impact whatever champion.
2-for-1. She's leaving for 2 titles for 1 briefcase.
That's interesting because I'll be honest. With Jade going up against Tiffany at SummerSlam, I think that's where Naomi's gonna have her moment.
I agree. I agree with you. But I said a monkey wrench.
Oh yeah, then it'd make perfect sense. It would make sense because again, she's Impact champion. Maybe if it's one of those things, former Impact champion. Maybe if it's one of those things where like she wants to have a championship to go against Jade, or before Jade has her match against Tiffany, or whatever, just to have something to brag about and run with. That would make sense. If Trinity didn't have that run in Impact, I would say I wouldn't.
Of course not. That's why I bring her name up.
Yeah, I agree. No, I agree.
It's not gonna happen, ladies and gentlemen. This is just a fantasy or a throwing it out there to see, maybe someone in creative was. Maybe there's a light bulb lit up. At the end of UBS arena, talk about people talking about the show. Like, holy shit, we didn't see Naomi, aka Trinity Fatu, leaves with 2 titles that night. No one in their bingo card expect that. And then all of a sudden, then you could 2 nights of 2 nights of SummerSlam. You're telling me if you have your TNA Knockouts champion, double champion on SummerSlam in a match, you're not gonna intrigue and even want to watch or even buy the ticket to SummerSlam because you're gonna have TNA representation with your champion. I know she's a WWE wrestler, but she's holding those titles. And now you're getting more exposure. You see a TNA Knockouts champion on Smackdown, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Now you're, more exposure for TNA going forward. Just out there, they're working relationship. They're really trying to help TNA get that elusive TV deal, which I saw rumbling CW now is thinking about adding more wrestling content to the network. And, maybe a TNA a partnership. I don't know. Just throwing it out there, ladies and gentlemen. Just throwing out there, because what TNA is doing right now under Carlos Silva's leadership, they're improving. They're
amazing.
Amazing work.
He saved TNA.
Yeah. And we're thinking that we're going to take a step back when D'Amore left. I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm going to be brutally honest with you. Oh, my God. They all this great work. Actually, he's taken that job that D'Amore has made, and now he said, I'm going to multiply it by X amount of folds, and the man is doing that. And of course, with his book, and let's not sell short the bookers and the agents that stood with the company after D'Amore left. They've done a phenomenal job there. They have done a great job piquing interest. Some of you might not like the fact, I want only TNA type of work, guys, but they're utilizing what they have right now, whatever in their cupboard, and they're working. They're stocking up the women's division again, signing some young talent. They just signed Jada Stone, and they just signed another young lady into the contract. They signed some Knockouts tag team. They're revamping, but they're not ready to be put on the main spot. How you do that? You bring in the NXT talent in to help you. You do those type of deals, and they're doing a great job when it comes to total nonstop action with it. Also, they're building a hell of a mid-card division with him. Again, I love the Southern Cycle. This is one guy, I'm going to be honest with you. If I go to the UBS Arena, I am hoping I meet. And he lives here. I don't know how I don't bump into him in Publix or anywhere around Orlando, Florida. But I would love to meet Mr. Mance Warner. That's the one guy I'm like, yo, Mr. Warner, I'm a freaking fan of yours. I'm a big fan of Mark. Yeah, but Mance Warner is winning me over with his Southern Cycle. He's just a maniac. I just love his style in there. Of course, they have a nice mid card with the Death Machine. With Sami Callihan, with Mance Warner, with Steve Macklin, with Eric Young. They got a nice nucleus. They got and the mid carders. It's okay to have a couple of your TNA solid veterans in there while we have some main card guys. While the World Heavyweight title gets situated with Elijah coming back when he comes back, Trick Williams, AJ Francis. I know he's going to be part of that ladder match. That whole card is stacked. That
That
whole
Slammiversary
my
card,
goodness.
yo, I cannot wait to watch that ladder match with the Hardys, Nemets, Rascals, and First Class. That's more good. Besides the main event, holy shit, that's the match I'm looking forward to.
And KC Navarro, I know we missed our window and opportunity to have you on our program. Hopefully in the future we'll have you back on. We were scheduled to do first. That was the first man we were supposed to have on, but KC, get better, get healthy. Hopefully you make that match at Slammiversary. Hope we see you there in person, in the ring. Because I know the ladder spots, you're going to kill it. I know AJ doesn't climb much ladders, but he's there as your safety blanket. That's that aspect that they bring to that match. I can't wait to see that ladder match with all those. I mean, see the parties and the ladder match in person. In 2025, I didn't have that. I didn't think that was going to be in my book.
I've never seen I've never seen the last time I've seen Jeff Hardy was before he got released from WWE.
Wow.
Because he didn't want to, because he was having that hard time during the live tour, and he was drunk at my live tour. Yeah, so that's the last time I got to see Jeff Hardy. So him in a ladder match, I've never seen him in a ladder match. Holy shit!
In a ladder match, that's one of his calling cards. I'm the brothers' calling card.
Hardys,
we're going to be there. That's a privilege. That's an honor and a privilege. I can't wait for that there. All in all, we're talking a lot. I know we're still doing at TNA, but we're talking all TNA completely. Not just Slammiversary, but the card, the show on Thursday that happened. Well, of course, that Jake Something Mance Warner match. Jake Something, another name I forgot to mention in that in the international title scene in TNA. I'm glad that he returned back to the company. I wish Mr. Hammerstone would have stood with the company, but that's just another, that's out of our realm. Hammerstone would have been another one. I thought he, missed opportunities there for him, but whatever. That's all. Mustafa Ali, and Cedric Alexander. We're getting that. They mentioned their 205 matchups that they had at WrestleMania for the light. They're bringing that into Slammiversary. There's some grudge. There's some unfinished business between those two gentlemen. I can't wait to see that match up close and personal. Mustafa Ali. That's going to be another banger. I mean, my goodness, Indy Hartwell and Tessa. Indie wrestling. Tessa, the most hated heel in the Knockouts division, taking on one of the most people's champion, beloved Indy Hartwell. I always say that about her in NXT. She's just gracious. She's the people's champion. I call her the people's champion of NXT. Whenever they would go on a break, she's taking pictures. They taking pictures. She's hugging. She's shaking hands. She's just a salt of the earth, the sweetest thing. When in NXT, when she was there, great memories of Cindy Hartwell. Now we're gonna see her in TNA going up against a hated Tessa. There's gonna be so much great stuff going forward. The only thing I thought that we were gonna get Marsha. I know we got the main event. I thought it was supposed to be Ash by Elegance taking on Marsha. So I'm a little confused. When is that Ash's number one contendership happening?
Yeah, but I like what they did.
Can we have that on Women's Evolution? I don't mind seeing. Can we have that on Women's Evolution?
Okay.
WWE, TNA, can we get Marsha Slamovich, Ash by Elegance? Wouldn't it be great for Ash to come in there trying to have an opportunity to win a women's title on WWE TV for TNA? I there's nothing wrong. Come on. Let's showcase that. Let's see that. I want to see that. I would like to see that.
I agree.
And great job there. And then one thing that felt a little bit, I don't know, a little bit flat because they didn't have a I don't know if there was a budget issue or it didn't call for it really to have a King's Speech type of Frankie Kazarian. It was just an in-ring thing. That felt a little bit, I don't know, it wasn't terrible. It just felt like it was missing something when Frankie Kazarian, he brings out Joe Henry, Mike Santana, Trick Williams. I love the fact that Mike Santana said, "You ain't clowning me," because he clowned Joe Henry with the microphone and pulled it back. He said, He grabbed it. He had his thing. I thought the men all spoke well there. It looks like we're getting in TNA for next week the tag match, Joe Henry, Santana versus Trick and Frankie Kazarian on one tab element. Then we know we got them in NXT for Tuesday. I like the fact that they're building. I thought when I first saw that, I was like, oh, don't tell me we're going to, because, I said it time and time again, Trick Williams, if it's not a multi-man match, kind of don't defend his title one-on-one. I thought it was going to be a fatal four-way. I was like, oh, here we go, changing the main event with Frankie Kazarian, which if that was the case, I'm not getting mad at Frankie Kazarian because he is a veteran of TNA and he should be in there. But what does it say about Trick Williams? Trick, what's up? In the main roster, they're not going to have multi-man matches for you in Raw and SmackDown. It's a one-on-one. They don't do multi-man matches for you, brother. So you're not gonna have always. You got to learn how to wrestle one on one, especially if you be a champion going forward. That's just my criticism early when it comes to Trick.
Yeah, and we've been talking about that for a couple months. So, but
Heather says, "Yeah, Kaz dropped the ball on that talking segment. Yeah, it wasn't. It didn't hit. It wasn't terrible, Heather, but it just didn't hit out of the ballpark. What I was like, "Ugh." But he
yeah,
has some
I,
zingers. He has some
I
zingers.
like. I agree with the end though. I think all the three guys in the match participants, Santana, Henry, and Trick Williams, spoke well.
And I'm not. And I left this for last because I didn't want to leave it out. Was that chain match for the TNA Championship between the former tag teams, Marsha Slamovich, Killer Kelly. That match was really good match. I loved it because, and it could be some. I remember Tether saying, "Oh, we knew that the chain was going to be predictable with the outcome of the match." But that's why the match was stipulated, because it was going to play a part in the ending of that match. Marsha used to choke out her partner. Because he's telling her, you wanted a chain match against me? I'm going to beat you with the one thing that you love, that you admire, is the chain. I'm a chain, and I'm going to make you go to sleep. And Marsha, the match was really strong. If they were to run this back other than a chain match, I wouldn't mind seeing that. The one thing that Chris was off, because I know TNA is not doing the blood, and not doing. If they would have had just a spot where they could have some bleeding, it would have been like, oh snap. But I understand it doesn't need it. It didn't really need it, but it could have used it. But it wasn't a premium live event, so maybe that's or pay per view. Okay, we understand that they didn't have to force it. You know what? I still say that match was really good. You saw the interference of Jordan of Fatal Influence in there and all that stuff. Then we saw the help from Xia Li, aka and of course Xia Brookside came out. So we're looking at a tag match for next Thursday, I believe, in TNA. So all in all, I like what's going on with the friendship or the partnership between both companies. Yes. Again, I kind of want to see some WWE sprinkle, or TNA at least go to WWE and sprinkle on Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. We could use that.
Yeah, we could use that, and I think it'd be good, but I think we're going to get there soon. And I think there's some surprises coming up for Slammiversary. So
yeah, Slammiversary, Women's Evolution. I think we're gonna get some surprises. Yes. And even we all know that Great American Bash, we're gonna have the contract signing. Joe Henry, Mike Santana, and Trick Williams for the TNA Slammiversary. So Great American Bash is amplifying the Slammiversary card that's coming up a week after that, which is I like that. That's what you want. That's the way you help one another and you collaborate. That's the way of collaboration. I am a big fan of that. So we are excited for TNA. If you join us late, we will be covering TNA live at the UBS Arena. We and Chris, we're gonna go live from there. We're just gonna probably record some stuff. We're gonna show you video. We're gonna be in attendance. We're gonna be part of the channel. We're gonna be part of the network of the media that go, but be part of that. Be at the arena. We're gonna be live at the Respect show for Respect Podcast at Bergen, New Jersey. Tickets are still available there for that show on Saturday the 19th. I know they got a softball game. I would have loved to go to the TNA softball game too, but I don't think I can be played two places at one time. Especially, I also am going to sightsee a little in my hometown, the Bronx. So, I wanted to go see that, and we got an action-packed 3 to 4 days in New York City. So I cannot wait. So yes, we will be attending and we'll be covering at TNA at the UBS Arena. The Sports Jedi Network will be there live there. Well, hopefully we get some footage, interviews with some of the talents. Hopefully, no one promised. We weren't promised any of that. But if they allow us, if we get that, we'll have our recording devices. We'll bring that in. We'll put a video. We'll make sure there. So there won't be no TNA watch along for Slammiversary because we'll be there live in New York City, the UBS Arena. And of course, this Thursday, we will have the TNA president, Carlos Silva, joining us for an interview. 4:00 right now, but it could change. We don't know because he's on a media tour, so we're on the standby when he'll be joining us. So that's the update there. Up there, as Chris the Flash is joining us. What's up, Chris? How are you, buddy? Chris, my PG Chris. Let's go with Friday Night SmackDown. Now, this was done on pre-recorded on Monday for Monday Night Raw. Those that watched it got to watch. You had from Pittsburgh. One thing that kicked off, we see the return of Drew McIntyre, who threw. You know what? McIntyre was very compelling. Even with Randy and Cody, I thought he stirred the pot, Chris.
Yeah, that was a surprise. Definitely seeing Drew McIntyre come back. Um, Again, I don't mind Drew McIntyre. I think he fits in okay with the main event scene on SmackDown. I think it's gonna be good. I think it's good that he's back. Him and Randy going at it for Saturday night's main event. That's gonna be really good. Drew McIntyre comes back, gets a big match at a big show. So good job for Drew McIntyre. I could see him being involved with the CM Punk stuff down the future again, which I wouldn't mind because they did some good stuff.
He planted the seed
No,
though.
no,
He
no,
pla-
sir.
he planted the seed in Randy Orton about Cody. Like Cody didn't hesitate, and even Randy Orton said, "I hesitated to do the punt kick," and McIntyre brought it up to him. He didn't hesitate. He punt the crap. He didn't. He attacked your back, planting the seeds for months later down the road or soon. So I like that for and again, welcome for Drew McIntyre to come back. It was a good time for him to return because he stirred the pot. He stirred the crap. He stirred they say stirred the pot really well for Drew. Good job there. Good job there. The backstage with Nick Aldis, Charlotte Flair finds out she's going to team up with Alexa Bliss because they're going to go for number one contenders in that tag team. Let me ask this: do you want to see Bliss and Charlotte Flair as your tag team champions? I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're going to end up. I think they're going to end up on a one-off.
No, because they build this whole thing up with them gonna have a feud, and now they're friends all of a sudden out of nowhere. I don't care. I don't think it makes sense being them on the same team.
So something's off with Charlotte. Guys,
Yep.
she's the best. She's the best wrestler in the world right now. Or you could say that. We could argue, we could debate it, but
I think
in
she's one of the
2020
greatest females of all time.
all time. Let's go with that. But right now, currently in 2025, there's something off for her in ring. I don't know what it is because when I saw her in the ring there with Piper Nevin, Alba Fire, and BFAB and Meacham, like the ladies are hesitant to attack her. You could see it, the hesitation on BFAB and Meacham. Like I don't know, like they work with her with white gloves, like she's fragile. That's not good for the product for the ladies because now it makes the other competitors, the other ladies, look off. Like they're we all know Meacham is a hardcore wrestler that could go. I thought I saw when I saw the same thing with and then the common denominator is Charlotte. When I saw Shotzi and Charlotte go at it, Shotzi held a lot back and she looked off. And then her opponent, Charlotte Flair. Now I'm seeing saw the same thing with Meacham and BFAB, same opponent, Charlotte Flair. So I don't know if that they such a great respect or there's a backstage like she,
They're scared to hit her and get her hurt.
they're
And
scared
be
to
the
hit
reason
her
why
or
she's off
get
TV.
over, like to outshine Charlotte, and then you're gonna get either punished or
Yep.
I don't know. It just feels like that, and I'm not saying that's true. That's just what my eyes are telling me and seeing. I'm pretty sure they love Charlotte Flair backstage, and she is one of the most endeared love in the locker room. I'm not saying that. I don't misinterpret that I'm making up anything saying that. I don't know that for a fact, but it just feels like the way the women work with her in the ring, there's something off. And that tag match was a little off. Bliss, I like how they got to the finish where Charlotte pats Bliss on the head and Bliss hits her with the Bliss finish and gets the pin because she was the legal woman to be tagged in, and that's how they got the win. Not bad there. Going forward, not bad. As let me go quickly through there. As they're the number one content, one of the number one. They're part of the number one contender tag team match there. Wyatt Six, they took on Gargano. It was like what was it? It was a Wyatt Six versus Montez Ford, Johnny Gargano, Chris Sabin, and Umberto. I like the fact that they abandoned and left all alone for the pin where the Wyatt Six gets the win. Now there's a stipulation. If they Wyatt won, they'll get a number one contenders. They're back at it for the tag. They get a tag team title shot next week on Friday Night SmackDown. Let me ask this: are you concerned with getting new tag team champions pulling the trigger on Montez and Dawkins?
Yeah, I'm a little concerned with them taking the titles off Montez and Angelo Dawkins. What are you gonna do? Put him back on the machine guns? Put him on the Wyatt Six? I don't really think that helps the tag team division on SmackDown. That's actually a little bit stronger right now. The Street Profits are putting on the better matches. They had that really good ladder match a month ago or something. The SmackDown before WrestleMania, I think it was. So I don't really see why you would take the tag team titles off the Street Profits. I think that's a dumb idea.
We shall see where that leads to. We shall see where that leads to. It's good to see Eric Rowan get in the match, wrestle, even though he won by the Iron Claw. Got to see him wrestle. I'm looking for the injury report. As of right now, Bo Dallas is not injured. Even though he got in the ring for a couple of bumps and but he's not injured right now, ladies and gentlemen. He hasn't sprained a hair. He hasn't sprained a hair follicle or fingernail yet. So he's scheduled to be in the ring next week. So the Wyatt Six gimmick will still continue to go. Hopefully, there's no injuries. So I'm looking at I'm refreshing for the retweets that Bo Dallas might have got injured again. So hopefully he's not injured and he can continue to go. So let's hope. All right. Let's move on here. Tiffany Stratton. Now, this had everyone up in arms, especially our friends down at Pro Wrestling Nation 24/7. Our guy, Dave LaGreca, out there, and the rest of the folks about, they complain about Goldberg getting a title match coming out of nowhere. And Tiffany Stratton did the same thing when it came to Trish Stratus. We saw Jade. By the way, Jade looks like $1 billion the way she looked. Oh my God, her dress and her look on my run at SmackDown, gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous for Jade Cargill. She looked phenomenal. But Tiffany, they're prolonging Tiffany versus Jade. Trish Stratus is going to get an up. Tiffany announces Trish Stratus as the world champion, which Trish was even surprised. Like, I get a world title. I never, you know what? My kids never see me be champion. And everyone says, how could you make sense? If Tiffany would have said, look, it's Evolution coming up, and I know that you're one of the OG in Evolution, I think I want to defend my title against someone from the past and give you an opportunity. If she would have just said something like that, it would have been different. But sometimes words, the way you phrase something or say something, could really impact the actions. And I think Tiffany did not deliver with that, where people could give her the backlash for just naming Trish Stratus your number one contender. Chris, what's your thoughts when you heard Trish going for the title?
I don't know why. I'm one of those people that don't know why. What has she done to deserve a title? Why is she back with Gold? But again, it's one of those things with Goldberg. They want to do it. I don't know. I understand Goldberg a little bit, retirement match in Atlanta, but what does Tiffany Stratton versus I don't know. I don't know what I just don't know what Trish has done to deserve a title. I don't want to be that guy, but I understand with Goldberg at least. At least they teased it back at Bad Blood with us. When have they teased this?
They teamed up. They were in lockstep.
They teamed up, and did they really tease a match or a?
They never teased anything like a breakup. I think we had more. We
teased it with Goldberg and Gunther at Bad Blood.
Didn't Lita turn, or didn't they turn on when Trish turned on?
I think so.
They never played back that. I'm not saying Tiffany and Lita. I'm talking about Lita and Trish when they first came. I think it was Rhea or someone turned where Trish turned Becky. They never went back to that. But
that's what
they never went back to that. But my point is, they did it because if Tiffany would have said, I want to challenge myself and I need to go up against a Hall of Famer. No disrespect to the women in this roster. We have the best women roster. I want to take someone on from a Hall of Famer from the first Evolution. It would, if she would have said Trish, or even if she would have if she would have even said Nikki Bella at this point, would have been a better opportunity.
I agree.
She would have said, I'm going to give you were a former champion. You came. Yeah, I am going to whatever, say what you, and that would have been different. But Trish, that fell out of left field. The build was no build. It was just Friday, and then next week we're going to go home show right into Evolution. That's a little bit of a disconnect. I can see where the IWC, the wrestling, WWE wrestling community wrestling universe could get a little bit of a disdain or a little bit of a raising of an eyebrow, not like it because of the build and not getting there. They didn't tell us a story on why Trish deserves a title shot. And again, if Tiffany would have used her words correctly and said just like that, I still think there would still be this backlash, but not as much. because at least he tried to make sense of it. That one here didn't, because I picked you. That didn't feel resonate to me, brother.
I agree.
Hold
Yep,
on,
I agree.
I had a sneeze. Yes. It goes. I think people are overreacting with them selecting Trish. You might be right, Anthony. It might be overreacting. You might be correctly. And again, if just a little bit of words to for Tiffany to explain just a little bit more, I think would it alleviate a little bit of the overreaction, if it makes sense, Anthony. If they would have just said, I want to challenge someone, a Hall of Famer. I got, what, I'm considered. I beat a future perspiring Hall of Famer, Charlotte. I got to face myself a certified Hall of Famer, and maybe that would have been something that even though with those careful words, Charlotte's not a Hall of Famer yet. She's going to be one, yeah, of course. But this one is, but Trish is inducted in the Hall of Fame. I think that would have resonated really well. I've got a question. This is a good goal. My goal is to be AEW in 5 years. Oh, just keep working. You hear all the independent wrestlers, Ethan, that tells you about putting in the work, trusting yourself. Also, nutrition. Your body. You have to get your body into shape. With the calisthenics, the in ring. Not getting blown up. And you heard from some of our wrestlers last week. We are, for the female wrestlers, and they say, they're still, the body imaging is for real. So you have to look a certain way, especially if you want to get noticed by the big companies, Ethan. You heard it from the wrestlers themselves. That's an issue with the internet wrestling community. Even if they explain it, they with the word soup, they'll be upset as part. Yeah, people, Anthony, you're 1,000% correct with that. You're 1,000% correct that, because no matter people, I always said it, people are contrarians. You could say outside it's beautifully and sunny, but they'll tell you it's partly cloudy and it's white with a lot of clouds, and it's still bright as hell. And they'll tell you they'll be a contrarian. People will always be a contrarian no matter what you do when it comes to professional wrestling. It's just, that's how the nature of the beast is. It could be night. It's night outside. It goes, yeah, but it's so bright with all the stars. And the moon is so bright, but it's supposed to be night. It's supposed to be dark, but they'll still be a contrarian to tell you how bright the sky is because of the sun, because of the stars and the moons. There's always going to be that contrarian out there, always, no matter what we do, whatever's done in professional wrestling. Now it's easy. It's like Charlotte. They have all the blonde versus blonde, old hex symbols versus new ones. They're trying to put off Trish. Maybe to a point. Maybe to the point there, Heather. Maybe to a point, you're correct. Maybe there is a blonde versus blonde type of deal in there going on where Tiffany and Trish. I don't know. So, but if that would have, then I think, to be honest with you, if they wanted to do a old symbol versus new symbol, they should have done Nikki Bella and Tiffany Stratton. But they were no bill, because Nikki came out and butchered Stephanie Vaquer's name. Where they didn't. So I don't know what. It's just such a short build. They didn't have enough time to build anything. Do you guys think WWE is going to do with Mr. Guana, Psycho Clown, and they sign him permanently to NXT contract? They're going to be featured. They need men's talent when it comes to those two, Mr. Guana, Psycho Clown. They're going to need men's talent in that division. I just hope they don't use them as jobbers or to get the crowd feel good, and then they're always going to have a match to lose. Put him in some parent storyline. I think Psycho Clown will be a major heel on the WWE. If they use the WWE persona, they could do a great job with him. And Mr. Iguana is over with that iguana. Hopefully, they don't turn him into Santino with the Cobra, although he got that over big time. But Trish has more runs than Nikki, I think. Yeah, maybe that's why they went with Trish. But remember, Trish has been out of sight, out of mind. That's why I didn't feel it fell for it, because at least we've seen Nikki Bella. And she has the podcast warming up of return to WWE. She's been teasing and talking about it. Trish hasn't. Trish had that run, which was great, and she disappeared. Then she just popped back in. That's the only disconnect, Heather. Yeah. Want to come to Lucha Libre, guys? What do you think? People assume that most of the guys are high flyers when they're not true. This is a powerhouse lucha. This is powerhouse luchador. That it look, when in wrestling, if you could tell a story with your in ring, time and time again, no matter if you're in Lucha Libre in AAA Mexico, if you could tell your story where you're gonna, me as a fan, invest on your babyface run, the art of the struggle, the selling, you're gonna win no matter what. If you're high flyer or not, or if you're a heel and you want me to despise you and hate you, and you're selling and you're putting that out there, you're going to get people to want to see you and get over it. Perfect example is me, Máscara de Santo. Absolutely, absolutely. They did that with their heel persona. So that is Friday Night SmackDown, Chris. This is a week of wrestling that was pretty cool because we have a busy week coming up with the go home shows for Great American Bash. We got the Saturday night's main event. We've got Women's Evolution. I mean, we got the build for Slammiversary. There is a lot here. Don't forget, All in Texas. I mean, my goodness, their biggest show of the year. It'd be great, Chris. Oh, I mean, you ready?
Yeah, we got a stacked week of wrestling for you guys. We've been, we're on here. We reviewed this week, which wasn't that much. And we're still on here for an hour and 45. So hopefully next week we got what we get. Hopefully what we get is good, worth it. During that weekend with Great American Bash, All In Evolution, Saturday night's main event. And then we go on the road. So it's going to be a really busy next 2 weeks.
We're busy 2 weeks. Of course, tomorrow is first Sunday. I'm off my days. We, of course, no wrestling. Tonight, oh, wait a minute. We've got to mention tonight, Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling. Don't know yet if I'm doing any watch-alongs for it. Don't know yet. I know I got to make a decision in about an hour and a half. I got to definitely see when that happens. When Roman comes back, do you guys believe he comes back by himself or the new stable, unite with the bloodline? I think he's going to stop Rollins. We mentioned it earlier. I think we mentioned it earlier on. We mentioned a little earlier on that on Roman Reigns coming out for Friday or for Saturday night's main event. I think that's where it is. Yes, I don't know yet. Take your Heather. I don't know if I'm doing Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling just yet. I got to see my how I can see that and all that stuff. Definitely Monday Night Raw watch along. Tuesday we got an interview with Tito Colada from All Caribbean Wrestling. So from All Caribbean, Mark Henry's promotion, we got an interview with Tito Colada and of course NXT. That's their go home show. Wednesday we have the promoter Ray Perez from the Respect card. We're going to have him on maybe possibly Wednesday early or Thursday for sure. Mr. TNA President Carlos Silver will join us, and then Friday Night SmackDown, TNA Wrestling, and all that. So, guys, I'm going to one more time. Here's our, in case you missed it, our big announcement. And then we'll say see you next time. So here's our big announcement. See you soon.